Most people feel like negotiations are a zero-sum game, that for me to win, you have to lose. And that's because people don't think about option generation, which is the key to creating more value. Welcome to week 6, where this week we are going to talk about how to create options together so that we can expand our pie. Because negotiations are not fixed. There's usually other value for both parties available. We just haven't thought about it yet. And so originally when we walk in, we think that there's just this available to us. But through option generation, this becomes this. But we have to talk through different things that might work for us to find that area to create value. So where does that come from? Well, we talked about interests, understanding our interests and their interests. Those are the pieces of the pie. And using both of our interests, now we start thinking through what are the options that could meet the interests. And what we want to do is be generative. The first thing we want to do is come up with as many options as possible, no matter how silly they sound. So what I want you to think about is setting a 5-minute timer and saying, hey, in this time, we are just going to think of as many options as possible. It doesn't matter what they are. We're going to actually try to hit an outrageous number, like 50, and see if we can get that many, because it's not about quality yet, it's about quantity. And when you have freedom to think about anything and everything, we get more creative. So after you've come up with your list and they've come up with their list, you can compare. And this is when it gets generative, where you might create options based on what you see the other person has written down. And together you start problem solving, which makes it working as a team against the problem. So that's what I want you to think about for your exercise this week. Think of something you have coming up with somebody. Maybe it is a family vacation, which is a really good one. And say, hey, I just want to think about different options based on the things we care about that we might be able to pull together. And let's spend 5 minutes just coming up with our own list of as many as possible, and then let's compare them. So spend 5 minutes doing that, another 5 minutes comparing, and see what you come up with. You'll probably be amazed at how creative the ideas become and how many more ways of solving the problem of where to go becomes easier and more expansive, and cooler options evolve. So try that out to start this week. Let me know how it goes. And I will say that one of the things that can be really helpful with this is having a notebook where you can identify all of these things and reminding both parties that there are no dumb ideas. So try that out, see how it goes, and I'll see you Wednesday. We can't always have everything in our deal that we want to make, because there's more than one party. There's more than just our needs. So we have to be thinking about what they need as well. Welcome to Wednesday of our option generation week. And today I want to talk about priority trading. So on Monday, we had the exercise of coming up with a big list of options and thinking through creatively on how we can expand the pie. And that's amazing. So now what we've done is it broadened the world in which we could operate with a lot of different options available to us. Now it's time to start putting the pieces together and figuring out the evaluation of those options. And it's helpful to rank those options against my interests and their interests and figure out where you might be able to make what we call a priority trade, or an area where you can give something up that's not as much value for you, that has high value to them, and vice versa. They give something up that has high value for you. So now that you have a really big world of options, where are those trades that you can make? If we go back to our exercise from Monday, and this will be today's exercise, is revisit that list that you made, all right? Perhaps it's on the vacation that we talked about. And now figure out what are the things you care most about, your highest level interests and their highest level interests, and where are some trades you can make? Maybe you really care about being close to the water, and they really care about being somewhere warm and sunny. So is there a trade that you can make there where maybe you are willing to go a little further away? At first you were saying, I really don't want to do 2 flights, but that's not as important to you, and it meets their need of being warm. And they're probably willing to do a similar trade. So now you can start seeing how the pieces of the deal are coming together. And that's the best part, because now we're actually pulling a deal together from my interests, their interests, having the data, building a whole set of options, and now looking through those options, culling them, and finding the best fit. So practice that on the list that you came up with Monday and see how that goes. And in the meantime, don't forget about my archetype quiz on my website. It's attiaqureshi.com/archetype quiz, where you can start thinking through what your fundamental patterns are and how different behavioral shifts will be most impactful for you. You'll find one archetype with a sub-archetype on what your tendencies are going to be in a negotiation and how you can improve upon those. So I will see you on Friday, and I'm looking forward to hearing how this goes for you. Option generation might sound simple, but it tends to break down really fast. And so I want to give you 3 reasons why it breaks down so you can avoid those. Happy Friday. We are at the end of week 6, and next week is the official book launch, which I'm so excited about. Thanks for sticking with me this far, and let's dive into what we've discussed this week, generating options, and those key pitfalls. So the first one is that we tend to start evaluating when we're supposed to be generating. So I talked about how I want you to spend time thinking about as many options as possible. But after a handful of options, we tend to want to evaluate them. So it's really important to set aside specific time and maybe even use a timer saying this is the time for generation. And we will get to evaluating those options and picking our best ones, but let's come up with as many ideas as we can first. Now, the second mistake people make is that they only come with one option, and that it might feel like the best option there is, but when we want to expand a pie and we want to come up with more value for both sides, we want to be creative in that. One option doesn't do it. We need to make sure that we are thinking through tons of different opportunities and evaluating a lot of different components to see where we can find that value, because sometimes it's not always obvious. So the more options is definitely going to do that. And the third area that we might get tripped up is that we do option generation alone. So we might do this on our side, come up with a ton of great options, and then present them to them, which can be helpful, but bringing them into the option generation is even better, because then they have buy-in. They are part of the problem solving with you. So it is really powerful to do it together, collaborate, and expand those options as a team. So I hope you can avoid those pitfalls. And we have completed week 6. Next week, week 7, final week, we're going to be talking about alternatives and saying no. So important to be able to say no in a negotiation, because they can smell it on you. So we will get to that next week. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and maybe you can spend the weekend practicing building options with someone that is easy. Maybe think about where you want to go out for dinner or what activity you might want to do on a Sunday. Try it out. Let me know.
After 2 decades in boardrooms, conference rooms, classrooms, and conflict zones, the same thing pops up. You can get more of what you want, not by pushing harder, but by caring about what the other person needs and developing a deal that makes both of you better off. You're collaborators, you're not competitors, and what you're doing is creating a deal together that's going to get you more value today and more value long term.